Thank you, everyone. I hope people at the back can hear me. And we can get the chairs removed quickly because the presentation is up. So, today we are talking about AI, but not only AI, agentic AI, and how we're actually connecting to customers at the last layer, the last lever. That's what we'll be talking about, how we're just starting out, what is happening, and what really we are expecting in the next 6 months, because now we're not talking about years, we're not talking about 5 years, we're talking about next few months, right? So there's some cool stuff here I'll talk about. First, I want to talk about the fact that, globally, the banking and the financial services industry is at an inflection point. Why? Because in the end, we're talking about the fact that, products, rates, fees, a lot of them are converging between brands. Customers' expectations are pretty much going up, right? At the same time, customers expect a little bit more from the brands than what they used to. And banks and institutions are wondering, what, I can't do the private banking experience for the millions of customers. Now, how do I bridge that gap? At the same time, when you're talking about AI, people are like, I have AI, but what will it impact in my top line or my bottom line? What is it really impacting, right? Those are questions being asked. At the same time, when we're talking about brands and like these, at the end it becomes the fact that what is this experience that we are delivering for our customers? That really becomes a differentiator, because that's the place where they decide who they want to go with, right? Now, at the same time, when you're talking about the Indian customer, right? Now, the Indian customer by now has figured out that they wanted fast transactions, UPI, right? Or low friction, easy access digitally or non-digitally, but less friction to do what they wanted to do, banking. And they wanted banking to always be available to them. But now they want a little bit more. They got used to a little bit more, right? Now they expect institutions like us to say, can you give me guidance? But you need to know more about me to give me guidance. I need you to give me personalized advice. And I'm not talking about a core group of HNIs for whom you will do that thing. We're talking about every customer out there wants this. And they also want the fact that the support needs to be proactive. If something goes wrong, the institution needs to go back to them and say, so we are here to help you. And pretty much there's a zero tolerance for errors. The idea that what could pass off previously, now every Indian customer has the phone, has social media, has everything out there. They will scream, they will shout, and we do have a little bit of less patience nowadays, but yeah, right? Now, and then at the same time, now we have the world of AI, and every session, every place you go, you'll be like AI, 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 AI. It's there, everybody's talking about it. But the fact is, everybody's wondering, what does it amount to us, like my job, like my company, like my people, like my customers? What is it really impacting? And I'll tell you in fundamental ways, things are shifting, right? And the question would be, how are BFSI institutions adopting it? Where are they putting the money in? And a lot of it has gone into our processes and operations to speed up things, to cut costs, to maybe invest in cybersecurity, make systems run faster. A lot of that is where AI has up till now been implemented in BFSI. But what we're seeing now is that there is a bigger tectonic shift about to emerge. And right now, the BFSI industry, rather than always leading it, is actually looking at other industries and saying, let it start there, let me see what happens there, and see what I can replicate here and do. Despite the fact that BFSI is one of the few industries which has tons of customer data. Actually, it has masses of things that can be used for AI, just waiting for it to happen, right? And the idea is AI by itself is also evolving. In the last 1 year itself, what could have been called a simple workflow that an AI would do, now we're talking about that AI agents are working together to resolve complex processes. They're talking to each other, which means there is an evolution that is happening. In Adobe itself, we used to have something called a release cycle of our solutions or upgrades every 3 months or releases, right? That's, in the last 2 years, has shifted to every 2 weeks. So we got to keep looking at what is coming up even for us. Things are accelerating, right? At the same time, if for a marketer or a brand manager, if they had to build AI, talk about AI, they would talk about Gen AI first, right? Give me a prompt, tell me how I am going to, build a content for a campaign ad or a emailer, right? But now we're asking AI to build complete journeys from scratch, and it just gives the output. It builds a segment, builds journeys, reacts to customers from prompts itself. We reached that stage, right? We started off even 2 years back that AI is a tool that humans use, but now we're evolving into a stage that AI is not a tool, AI is a teammate, is your colleague. It's time to start recognizing that, because that's coming. But when we talk about what is AI customer experience, right? When we say if AI is involved in engaging with our customers, what changes? Because right now is the place where we're putting AI in that space, right? One, when we're talking about it, AI needs to be contextual, which is, it needs to know who is it interacting with, when should it interact, why should it interact. It needs to know about the customer, what his interactions were, what his intent was. That's pretty much table stakes, right? Second is, it needs to know that, okay, now that's the person I know. What is the next best action should I take to communicate with this person? What should I push him towards? It needs to also be governed, which means that it may do an action, but as a business, you need to know that why did this AI do that action? Can it explain to me? Is it compliant to all the regulatory rules? It's not only explainable to me as a financial institution or a banker. It's also explainable to the customer, saying, why is it recommending what it is recommending? Those questions are being asked, because at the end, it's also about the trust, right? Second is, it needs to be adaptive, which means that every action, every interaction, suppose a person goes to a website, suppose a customer talks to an agent, every touch point needs to be a trigger providing intent, and that should react, the AI should react according to those interactions, right? And the end, trust, as was mentioned with the previous guy saying, trust is at the cornerstone, because right now, we trust humans. But do we trust AI with hallucinations and all? What is the trustworthiness that is there, and for it to be the last layer, right? And for us, the barriers are still genuine. Whether we talk about agent, at the end, if there is garbage in and garbage out, it's got to be, right? We still have data issues. We still have quality gaps in understanding things, right? We still have system silos where one system is not talking to the other, and we're still trying to bridge that gap. At the same time, there's regulatory concerns, there's content concerns, law is not really caught up, maybe the regulator is not caught up with what could be in the future, right? What are the potential pitfalls? So barriers are genuine, so that's still being worked out. There is a DPDP law, it is pretty much still being worked out at the cornerstones, right? This is actually from 6 months back. I was sitting in an office at a bank. This was a CMO who actually wrote this down, saying, this is what I want. I want a parallel organization, which is an agentic organization, marketing organization, where there's a CMO agent, there's a creative agent, web monitoring agent, there's a journey agent, there's a content agent, and they need to work with me to, well, run my marketing. Can it work? He said, I've talked to every tech provider, we've gone out there, we've had presentations, we've had demos, we've tested out. Some parts are working, some parts are not working, but we need to be the first one to get there, okay? I was pretty impressed with the vision and idea and said, yesterday at 5 p.m., I was there in the office again, and this is what I showed to them, that this is exactly what we've executed, launched, it's working, and already with 7 global customers. Worked in coordination with them to execute. This is part of the organization, with the fact that for every, and this is for a content supply division where we create content for marketing, right? Now, you have every role in your organization will have a mirror of an agent that's coming there. A marketing strategist will have a strategic ideation agent. A creative director has a creative production agent. A designer has a creative agent. There's a governance agent for our assets, saying, are we following brand rules? Are we following company regulations? There's an agent who is assisting it. There's a web manager which is trying to figure out, hey, in your ChatGPTs or your Geminis, is my brand being mentioned? What is being discussed by people? Not on your website, out there. Can you track that? Can you give me details? Can I optimize my content so that agents can come to my website and explain? Because remember this, the front door of your businesses is not necessarily always your website now. Customers are going to ChatGPT and saying, tell me the best 3 insurance policies of, and which will have these criteria. Or somebody's uploading PDFs or proposals of what the insurance agent has given, saying, tell me the good things, the bad things about this policy. I know it because I was myself doing it, so I know it's happening. And I asked this, and we have software which is now allowing us to track that, understand it, control it outside your ecosystem also. Right? That's examples of things. There is a data insights agent to tell you, hey, there are anomalies happening, there are actions happening. Now, if you notice this, sometimes the person is telling the agent, and in some situation, the agent is telling the person. Because there could be certain insights that the person may not see, but the agent will figure out saying, you know what, this happened, and we think this is the reason. Do you want to do something about it? It's possible. It's happening. We're doing it right now. This is not in India as yet. And example, I just talked about brand visibility. This is just bigger things, and this is actual software, right? Where we're running saying, hey, can I make sure that agents can run my brand visibility and tell me exactly what is working out there, okay? What is being talked about? What can we improve? And can you improve it for me? Can you go to my website and change this page, change that page, modify this? We're having a drop-offs in these areas. Can you modify it? Can you customize this? The agents are going, crawling, doing this on their own. Of course, with human monitoring, saying, yeah, approved, not approved, etc. But that's not coming from, and that's always on, right? You also have customer engagement, right? At the end, when you're talking about engagement, we're talking about the fact that we are using a simple interface, asking the system, say, identify what is the best audience for this credit card or for this insurance policy. Let me know what is the expected outcome. Can you build a journey to reach out to these customers? Develop this journey. In this journey, build up assets. Launch this asset by this time. Monitor it for 3 weeks. Tell me if it is above a control group or not. End to end. That's all it took. And I think that's why the CMO called me again, was because he saw something on a recent event where we did, and he saw a video recording, and he said, did you just guys decrease the time span of something which used to take 2 weeks to 20 minutes? Because that's what we did from an end-to-end chain, right? And actually he was referring to the content supply chain where, hey, build it, build ads, build email communication, build for all your touch points, banners, etc., from scratch with details about impact, right? And those use cases are just developing. And just if I look at it from the fact of every phase of, from acquisition to retention, right? There are certain use cases that are springing up in BFSI. Example first is visibility in your chat interfaces about your brand. AI-led financial education. Can financial education, remember, people are coming from different language backgrounds. They're also coming with different levels of comprehension. Can your agent look at the conversation and try to explain it in the same language as what the customer will understand? Okay? Can it will scan your website, your knowledge banks, and then talk to the customer in the way they expect it to be in real time. Right now, you may be going to ChatGPT. Imagine there's a ChatGPT which is only aligned to what the bank is or your insurance company is controlling. And you decide it can't go beyond this, it can't go beyond that, but I've trained it for my customer. That's happening, right? Onboarding, adaptive onboarding workflows, basis points, basics. Why do we have so many forms? Why can't we have conversation that a customer can do? And if he drops off in one conversation, it continues on maybe WhatsApp, and we drops off there, continues with a phone call. We need adaptive workflows, and which adapts to the customer is wherever they drop off. Service, right? AI-assisted self-service. A lot of times, there's a lot of humans involved in helping out customers. Yes, it's important, but is this the way to scale to 100 million customers? Can I have AI assisting them in this self-service? At some point, in a service center, somebody's complaining, somebody's talking about, can we look at the tone of his communication, tone of his things, and say, automatically the agent is monitoring it and puts it into another queue of a more experienced person in a different queue, right? Are we talking about growing? Is the cross-sell happening? Are we guiding investments based on certain criteria? These are white spaces. These are places where people are already working on BFSI. We're talking about proactive churn signals. you have so many, not many times previously, data science teams used to go there in your database, try to figure out symbols, build models saying this is a churn model, somebody will churn off. Can that be done always on with agents crawling through, building on models and start identifying people that, hey, with this, because this person is not transacting, this person has done no action, never come to the website, never come to net banking, never done anything. This likelihood is the fact that this person is going to churn, so let's put him in a churn journey to bring him back. A lot of that is happening. And if you notice, we as an organization have also, and we do have 70 plus BFSI organizations as customers in India today. And globally, it's 5,000 plus. And we are building that agentic operating system, and not building, we built it. The fact is now we are hoping that we're going to be adopting a lot of that. You saw some, we talked about some 20 agents, right? It's not going to be just 20 agents. We're talking about 80 agents in the next 3 months. That's how it's evolving. And that's what's coming inside, right? I'll skip this. And by the way, while I'm talking about me as an organization, we have a partner also, DWAO, who's there on the floors today. And you can have a conversation with them saying, what are they doing? And I think they've been in the system for 15 years, 100 clients, and they are the people who will help guide for this implementation, and they know what needs to be done here. So do look at them, and they have a whole list of leading brands as partners who they assist us with. So yeah, I hope, yeah, my time's up. I just saw the board. Thank you guys. Thank you for everything.